Hi guys, happy Friday. I feel like shit today, so yeah, I just completely feel like shit. Sciatic nerve. You didn't know it can make you sweat bullets, and so yeah. Alright, I was reading quite a bit last night on Magick, and I thought this would be very beneficial for the Ouija bootcamp students. So, it explains in great detail the astral light. So I did a channeled, it was more of a channeled inspired blog, last night, on the astral light. So if you take in too much and you become addicted to magic, you can actually get addicted to calling in these energies, higher energies, that is, because they give you so much. Even lower entities will give you some type of biological or physiological or cellular. I think it affects the cellular level of our bodies, our minds. So if you're using the Ouija every day, like I do, you can become addicted to it. I'll admit it, I think I am addicted to Ouija. But then again, it's just, that's what it is, so I'm just going to avoid that. It was just incredible. So I want to, it just keeps talking about the imagination. The imagination and how this is why I tell you guys to reenact what you feel that spirit, the specific spirit or entity or god, goddess, whatever it is. What was I gonna say? Oh, this is why I always tell you guys to reenact. So whatever, that sounded like a voice coming out of my voice. That was very odd. I hope that got caught on voice. So yes, where was I going with this? But yes, you can become addicted, which, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing, but if that's, all you're doing. But back to your chosen ancestor, deity, god, goddess, go and really dig deep into the mythology of that specific entity. Look through all different cultures and then come to a middle ground and compare. They're all connected. They're all the same, just with different names. So, what I was reading though is that the astral light, when we die, when we pass, when we die, we pass, our astral body is imprinted in the kind of like a side-by-side world. So there's this world, then there is the astral. So that is the closest to our physical world, which is vibrating at the same time as we are. So if people, this is just it really made me think, and now I'm like, oh shit. But just really reenacting that. So say the person, they passed because of, like I say, they were really, really mean in life. Their astral form, when they pass, if they don't want to go to the light to incarnate and come back again, or go straight to source, or there are certain, like I was reading, in ceremonial magic, that you can die twice. So there's the physical death, and then there is the death of the soul. So that is completely different from the astral body, though. So the death of the physical body, and then the death of the soul would be that you would cease to exist. You just cease to exist. But when people die, and horrific ways, even regular ways. They're misguided. They can't, in my opinion, what I have read and what I've summarized, they can't see. They can't see the full light. So they get distracted, sidetracked by different reflections, and it reflects back to them things that they liked in life. People, places, things, objects, drinks, beverages, you name it. So that body, the astral body, is really what we are talking to when we are using the board. Well, kind of. We get higher entities. So this is lower astral entity work. But I thought this was very important to share with you guys. So, say, this is very complicated, but I love it. So, say you are, I passed like 5 minutes ago, and I didn't realize it, so I would be literally blinded by the light. I would not know where to go, what to do. I would, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I do really feel that the reason for all of the, the mishaps and the mischievous, spirits, and they are very real. Gnomes, fairies, wights, the salamanders, they are very, very real. And that is where they reside, is the astral realm. So, somebody, their astral body, if they're not ready to move on yet, and they want to still be a part of the living, they will draw on your energy to the point of, if it's a negative, if it's that negative, to the point of making you literally sick. Hallucinations, hallucinations, you're sick, and it's nuts. It's nuts. So there's just, I have read a totally different philosophical theory about the astral light. So when we do, it is very real when we do use the board. So I'm trying to kind of see where this comes in with the board. It does say in the Doctrine of High Magic, or the Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, that when we do contact the said person, what we are literally doing, and by reenacting that, using our will, our minds, we put ourselves in the situation of that person. So, whatever kind of memories that they had, you are literally tapping into that. You are tapping into that astral light, and you are channeling that. That's where the imagination comes in, because everything in the astral realm is imagination. So that is why I always stress reenact, and really make sure you know who you're speaking to. It's just, so much in this book makes so much sense. So, say we're tapping into somebody's ancestors. So, you will actually literally feed the astral body of the ancestor. Usually the ancestors won't take too much energy from you, but that is why some people find it draining. So just protect yourself, before you do it. Regular prayer, that stuff. Because everything that we think, speak, and do leaves an imprint in the astral. This right here. Everything. So, the people that have died in my house, the people that have died, the murder-suicide outside, has left an imprint. And when you're very sensitive to these energies, you can pick up on that. So, basically what we're doing is we're tapping into memories, and information in the form of the astral person or spirit. Thus, we get that person on the board. So, it's kind of like a conduit. The astral body being a conduit for this, kind of for the soul. I'm not sure how that works. I don't even think that makes any sense. It kind of did, but now that I said it, it doesn't. Alright, so you're in deep, you're deeply entranced and you are doing an evocation, which is where you evoke the spirits to show themselves, which I do often. I often do that. You guys see my pictures, then they're wild. So I do believe that I have caught a glimpse of the astral light within those pictures. But the combination of technology, the iPad, and the flash, it just all produces. It just all produces the end result. So. And this is all scientifically proven. So, but yes, say you are in deep trance. You are evoking a spirit. You are creating a magical chain. You are creating an etheric cord. That chain. So, you are magnetizing yourself. So, a magnetized person will draw those spirits to you. So, if you're magnetized, sensitive, which is my interpretation of that, they come to you. So they're attracted to your light because you're open and you're sensitive to see that. But what I found, okay, and this has happened to me a lot. So in Magick, when I would meditate, I do meditate still, but no, for an hour. I don't have time. I do have time, but I don't meditate for like an hour anymore. I've noticed in my past when I was working with the Luciferian rituals and just kind of not dabbling but kind of putting just trying out a different path. I would notice any little noise. If you are in that state, that trance state of literally what the book says is you are between life and death. So literally that is the state that you put yourself in when you speak to all of these energies. But when evoking, not invoking, evoking, and say you are evoking a spirit, you have your incense going, you have your black mirror, or however you evoke a spirit. Just a simple evocation and a candle, something nice like that. Have you ever noticed when you get interrupted, you have that, like, it's almost like when you're in bed and you pick up and you feel like you're falling and you literally jerk and it ruffles your insides to no end. That's very bad. If you are in the process of doing any kind of magical ritual, because one, I did not know this, that literally you being between life and death, in that state, in that, that meditative trance or state of mind, consciousness, you can actually, you are so susceptible to external stimuli because you are so sensitized, magnetized to what you're working on, the project, whatever you're doing, the working, the rite, the ritual. You get that shock, like, oh my god, who, what? You guys all know what I'm talking about. That can actually lead to, and this is what kind of freaked me out, if you're deep enough, it can actually lead to injuries, physical and internal. So if you're doing that, and you're evoking and evoking over and over, you can literally, I don't want to say that you can pass away, but it can definitely cause problems within the body. That magical chain that you are connected with, that etheric cord. So it kind of said that you can in fact land yourself in either the proper place, which would be continuing with your evocation and getting your desired results, or if you're interrupted to the point where it shocks you so badly, coma, death, and I won't go on. So that was just my little whoa moment where I was like, oh, because I have experienced that a lot. It literally damages you. But that's aside the point. So it seriously is amazing. So alright, and this falls into the entire werewolf theories. So yes, werewolves are, like lycanthropy. I know I'm not saying that right. So I wanted to read you guys this. So, alright, now, so this is about werewolves, transmutations. So, 1. So this does have a point. No one has ever been killed by a werewolf except through suffocation, with no blood being spilled and no wounds. 2. Werewolves who were hunted down, chased, even wounded, they were never killed on the spot. 3. The persons suspected of these transformations were always found in their homes after the hunt for a werewolf, sometimes about to die, but always in their natural form. So this is the astral aspect of magic, and it's intense. So this is another one, which I think is very, very amazing. So, the simultaneous presence of the missionary Francis Xavier in several places at once has also been just as regularly observed. So one might say that they are miracles. So in the book, Levi says, I would answer that miracles, when they are real, are simply phenomena to be studied by science. So here we go into the apparitions of what we see within evocation. So, the apparition of persons who are dear to us, coinciding with the moment of their death, are phenomena of the same order and attribute to the same cause. So we have spoken about the astral body, which is the intermediary between the soul and the physical body. So this body often remains aware while the physical body sleeps and travels by thought within all space open to it through universal magnetism. So it thus stretches the sympathetic chain, which keeps it attached to our hearts and brains without breaking it. That's that chain, the magical chain I was speaking of. So, and then this is what makes awakening with a start so dangerous to people who are dreaming. In fact, an over loudly noise can abruptly break the chain, causing sudden death. So I thought that was pretty odd. So the form which our astral body takes on conforms to the habitual state of our thoughts. So our astral bodies are a result of the habitual thoughts that we have daily. So, and it modifies over time the traits of the material body. It is for this reasoning that Swedenborg, during his hypnotic visions, often saw spirits in forms of diverse animals. So, that's pretty intense. That is pretty intense. Okay, so I had a few other things to share with you guys. This is just fascinating. I love this. And if you guys don't have this, bookoutlet.com. Bookoutlet.com. It's incredible. Now, this is about the evocations. So this is where, why am I fuzzy? There we go. Now I'm fuzzy again. So this is where the evocations come into play. So, there are evocations of intelligence, evocation of love, and evocations of hate. But nothing proves, once again, that the spirits actually leave the upper spheres to meet us through the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life. So, and the contrary is more probable. We evoke the memories which they have left in the astral light, which is the common reservoir of universal magnetism. So, it is in this light that, in the past, Emperor Julian saw the gods as old, sick, and decrepit. Different forms of how these people left. So another proof of the influence of current and accepted opinion on the reflections of this same magical agent, which makes tables speak and gives answers by knocking on walls. After the evocation, of which I just spoke about, he says, I carefully reread the life of Apollonius, whose historians have described as an ideal of old world beauty and elegance. He says, I remarked that Apollonius, towards the end of his life, was shaven and tortured for a long time in prison. So, alright, he's evoking Apollonius. Those circumstances, which I do not doubt retained from a previous reading without remembering it, may have contributed to the unattractive appearance of his vision, which he says I consider solely as a voluntary waking dream. He says I saw two other persons whom there is no need to name, and both were different by their costume and their aspect. Okay, so he says, from what I expected to see. Okay, now, he recommends this. I recommend, by the way, the greatest prudence to any who wish to attempt the same type of experiments. There results from them great fatigue and often even distresses abnormal enough to cause sickness. So, that's pretty different. So, incurable madness, for example, would be for them an incomplete death, but a real one which leaves the terrestrial body under the purely instinctive control of the astral body. So, when the human soul suffers a violence which it cannot escape with, or which it can't cope with, it then separates from its body. So that in modern psychology would be the fight and flight. You disassociate yourself from the current situation that you're going through, which I know a lot about. So, and it leaves in its place the animal or astral soul, which makes of the human remains something which is less alive in a way than an animal. So, another one. Here's just a cliff note. They are the dead, who we take to be living. They are vampires whom we take to be friends. So I think that is dealing with just, lower entities. So, the protection, all the protection stuff that I've given you, all of the Ouija Bootcamp students on Patreon, use that. Definitely use that. I don't want anything to happen to you guys. The jolts, I don't want you guys to experience those, but I'm sure that you guys have. It's very fascinating, very fascinating. So that's the evocations. So, another one. So this is just incredible information. So, it is these aerial corpses which we evoke through necromancy. So literally, when we evoke, we're evoking a spirit. That is necromancy. Or even the Ouija. So, it is the larvae of dead or dying substances that we contact. Ordinarily, they cannot communicate except through the ringing in our ears, produced by the nervous trembling, which he says I have spoken of. They are normally understood only by reflecting upon our thoughts or our dreams. So, now this gets intense. So, but to see these strange forms, one must enter into an exceptional state between sleep and death, which is to say that one must magnetize oneself and reach a sort of lucid and alert hypnotic state. So that would be your meditation. That would be going into your meditation. I don't think we can die from that. Who knows, honestly. I don't think anybody knows. But this also says, so necromancy obtains real results, and the magical evocations can produce actual visions. So we have said that within the great magical agent, which is the astral light. So the magical agent would be Baphomet in this book. To me, that's what I'm seeing. The triple Godhead, Father, Mother, and what is it? Father, Mother, and Spirit. The triple Godhead. So which is the astral light, the all magical agent, are conserved the imprint of all things, all images which have been formed either by rays or by reflections. It is written, this light, that our dreams appear. It is this light which intoxicates madmen and pulls their sleepy judgment into chasing the most bizarre ghosts. So, you can drive yourself to madness through magic. Just be careful. So, to see without illusions in this light, one must push aside the reflections with a powerful will and only attract the rays to oneself. So, that is my theory of God being a disco ball. All those different rays, you are in the astral and you can get sidetracked by this pretty thing over here or this thing over here. So to dream awake is to see within the astral light the orgies of the Sabbath, as recounted by so many witches during their criminal trials, had appeared to them in the same manner. So, this is where it gets good. Often, the preparations and the substances used to arrive at this result were horrific. So we shall see in the ritual, but the results were never in doubt. They saw, they heard, they touched the most abominable things, the most fantastic, the most impossible. We shall return to the subject in the 14th chapter. Here we are only solely concerned with the evocation of the dead. So, in the spring of the year 1854, he went to London to escape personal sorrows and dedicated himself without distraction to science. So this guy is amazing. So, we have a lot to go over, a lot to study. Kabbalah, however you want to say that. I don't know. Okay, so, here's more on the astral light, which I'm just obsessed. I love it. So, we have said that within the astral light are conserved. The astral light has conserved the images of people and things. It is also in this light that we evoke the forms of those who are no longer of this world. And it is by this means that are accomplished such mysteries, as disputed as they are real, like necromancy. So, the Kabbalists, who spoke of the world of the spirits, were simply recounting what they had seen in their evocations. So, Alpheus Levi Zahed, which is his real name, who writes this book, has evoked and has been seen. So let us first say what the masters wrote of their visions or of their intuitions in what they called the light of glory. So, this is where discernment comes in. You have to be able to discern. And this goes back into the Bible as well. So you have to be able to discern between, okay, is this, going to benefit me, or is this going to hurt me? Is this, spirit true or false? So, we read in the Hebrew book of the Revolution of Souls that there are 3 types of souls: the daughters of Adam, the daughters of angels, and the daughters of sin. There are also, according to the same book, 3 types of spirits: captive spirits, errant spirits, and free spirits. Souls are sent off in couples. They are, however, male souls born widowed, and whose wives are being held captive by Lilith and Naama, the queens of the Sturges. They are souls who must expiate their rashness through a vow of celibacy. So, that's crazy. That's very, very interesting to think about that astral light and what we do and when we're, doing our evocations and everything. Another really good one. Nothing can enter heaven which does not come from heaven. So we are as above, so below, as within, so without. There we go. Okay, so after death, then the divine spirit which animated a man returns alone to heaven and leaves on earth, and in the atmosphere 2 cadavers, one terrestrial and elementary, and another aerial and astral. So one is already inert, the other is still animated by the universal movement of the world soul, which is destined to slowly die, absorbed by the astral powers which produced it. The terrestrial corpse remains visible. The other is invisible to the eyes of terrestrial and living bodies, and can only be seen through applications of the astral light upon the translucent, which communicates its impressions to the nervous system, and thus affects the organ of sight to the point of being able to see the forms which are conserved and the words which are written in the book of the vital light. So, that is why my grandma comes to me in the form that I remember her. Happy, healthy, not sick. So, it is a bit confusing, this. So, there's just a little bit more. After a time, a man's astral corpse evaporates like pure incense by rising towards the upper regions. But if a man lived in crime, his astral corpse, which holds him prisoner, continues to search for the objects of his passion and wishes to live again. So, this is why people will experience negativity. This is why. And my darling Catherine, this is kind of what I wanted to explain to you as well. So, he torments the dreams of young girls, bathes in the vapors of spilt blood, and loiters around places where the pleasures of life have flowed. He still watches over the treasures he had possessed and hoarded. He exhausts himself with painful efforts in order to make himself material organs so as to live again. But the celestial bodies suck him up and drink him. They feel this intellect. They feel his intellect weaken, his memory slowly fading, his entire being dissolving. His old vices appear to him as monstrous figures and chase him to attack and devour him. The poor devil thus gradually loses all the members of his body, which had served him in his iniquity. So, and then he dies for a second time, and forever, because he then loses his personality and his memory. So, souls which must live, but are not yet entirely purified, stay captive in their astral corpse for more or less time. So, where they are burnt by the odic light, which wishes to assimilate and dissolve him. So, it is in order to escape their astral corpse that souls sometimes enter into the living and live within them in a state Kabbalists call embryonate, EMBRYONATE, embryonate. So, that's pretty intense, I would say. I would say that is very intense. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So, the great work, which is the ritual of ceremonial magic. So, the great work is above all else the creation of man by himself. So, that is to say, the full and entire conquest of his faculties and his future. It is above all the perfect emancipation of his will, which assures him the universal empire of Azoth and the domain of Magnesia, which means full control over the universal magical agent. So, this magical agent, which the ancient Hermetic philosophers disguised under the name of the first matter, determines the forms of the modifiable substance, and through it we can actually arrive at metallic transmutation and universal medicine. So, not literal. Yeah, there's a lot in this. So, here's another one about talking tables and fluidic manifestations. This is just amazing. So the phenomena which recently agitated America and Europe with regards to talking tables and fluidic manifestations are nothing more than magnetic currents which are beginning to form, and solicitations whose nature is to invite us, in the name of the salvation of humanity, to reconstitute the great sympathetic and religious chains. So, thus we attribute all these strange occurrences of moving tables to universal magnet agent, so, which is looking for a chain of enthusiasm in order to form new currents on its own. It is a blind force, which can be directed by will of men, and which is influenced by contemporary opinion. So, this universal fluid, if we wish to call it a fluid, being the common environment of all nervous or organisms, and the vehicle for all senses, vibrations, establishes between impressionable persons a veritable physical solitary, whatever that word is, and transmits from individuals to other individuals impressions from the imagination and thought. Seriously, this is insane. This is insane. So, when we are, so really, we're not certain with the trio life if they actually come from the crown all the way down to talk to us. I do think so. I have realization that, oh yeah, it makes sense. That's what it's telling me, that yes, a lot of these spirits do come through the Sephiras, or the Sephirots, plural, Sephirots, the spheres, through the tree of life. So it's pretty interesting, but this is why I want you guys to, within Ouija, continue to reenact, read the positive stuff, really reenact the positive stuff. Yeah, you will encounter some negativity. But that is, you have to test and then decipher. So it's freaking amazing, all of this. I have absolutely I don't know, it just took me for a giant surprise when that section came up. But I thought it was pretty amazing, and it does explain, say for instance, belly, when the mom is pregnant, they're in the universal fluid inside of the stomach. So everything is thought. This world is thought. It is like a giant brain, which takes on anything it absorbs. It repels. Just like all of the, if you go through the hermetic laws of the universe or the laws of nature, just go through the list. Read that. Read the 7 hermetic principles and see. So, if the universe, the all, God, Goddess, Baphomet, whomever the universal agent is, to me it's Baphomet. What was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say. So yes, it is just, the world is all mental. So, if you are in a room, if you're in a bad mood and you're in a room, you literally, the people that are most susceptible to or are magnetized, sensitive, will take on your mood, your emotions. I thought that was pretty interesting. That was really interesting to read. So it does explain a lot in science about mysticism, spiritualism, the board, just exactly how our magic works from a scientific point of view, and that makes much more sense than it would to just not understand it from this kind of view. So I really like how that book has, it's given, basically everything that I have ever believed or thought. That book, Baphomet, the image, when I found Baphomet, it's funny because I had really no idea what it was. And then when I researched Baphomet, it talked about it on the board. It was like everything that I've ever thought about the world and how it works, the universal force behind everything. It made complete sense to me. And so, reading about Baphomet and really getting deep into that is just, it kind of filled a hole or bridged a gap. And it just made everything make sense. Okay. So, magical workings. Where was I? Yes, our magical workings. They will work. You just have to do it and forget about it. So, for the prayers, you are going to magnetize yourself with your ancestors. So you're getting connected with them, which is amazing. So, where was I going with all of this? There's just so much that I wanted to tell you guys. It's incredible. What else? It's just crazy that everything, if the universe, our world, everything is mental and everything leaves an imprint, literally, that explains, alters, how they build up so much power, the imprint, the repetition of your rituals, the repetition of your prayers, your thoughts, everything. Yesterday was a very long day, and I was kind of cranky, so I kind of noticed that within myself that I was very bitchy, and that totally rubbed off. And then I totally switched my thinking. I balanced, went back to the other side of the pendulum or scale to balance it, and everything got better instantly, which is crazy. It's crazy. How does that happen? But I really do think, just with that little bit of knowledge from that book, this will help the Ouija boot campers. This will definitely help. It'll help anybody. It will help you to be more balanced. You will develop your senses better. You become more magnetized. So the law of attraction, or the law of magnetism, it's all there. It's all here. So literally what we put out is what we get back. The snake eats its tail all the time. So, and then the whole consequence part, I am still trying to wrap my mind around that. So there is a threefold law, but it's nothing like Wicca. I think the threefold law was more like the verb, which is, the verb is what we do, the ritual. The verb, which would be word and verb, will and intention. So really directing, focusing on something like if you need extra money, really focus on that and bring that into existence, because it's already here. It's already right here. You just have to grab it for yourself. So yes, this is why I want you guys. Okay, assignment 3. Okay, Catherine and Sean, you guys are doing amazing. You guys are seriously doing amazing. Okay, so for lesson 3, I want you guys to reenact on the board. Reenact. Talk to yourself. First, talk to yourself, to your inner self, your higher self. Ask it questions. And if you have to, move it. Get it going. You have to give it a jump start. That's why it takes all of our senses, all of our 5 senses, 6 senses, to actually get the board to work for us properly. So, if you have to, push it. You are talking to yourself. So, you have to answer yourself back, right? So, I want you guys to do that. I want you guys to try to just get on the board, do your prayers, whatever you need to do to feel safe and comfortable. Get on, talk to yourself, reenact. If you want to, you can find a different deity. For you, my sister, La Santísima Muerte, reenact. Ask her a question, and how would she respond to that? So you're tapping into that astral light, the current of her. Baphomet, for instance, for me and Sean, I think, it is the all, everything behind everything we do, the reasoning behind everything. So, how would Baphomet talk to you? How do you think? Imagine, and if you have to, move it, the damn planchette. I mean, you have to give it a boost, to get things going. You have to get things going, motion, and it will eventually just completely just help. It will completely surprise you after you have done the reenactment. You will actually have amazing Ouija sessions. And then make sure you write down exactly, or somehow get your session with yourself down. So that is your first initial jump into the Ouija. So do whatever you have to do to make yourself comfortable. Your atmosphere, candles, incense, make yourself comfortable. Do it a day ahead. So plan for a day ahead. Plan it, say today, you're going to do it on Sunday. So you have 2 days to think about who and what you want to contact, and to actually research mythology. Or find out more facts about that person. So luckily for you, my darling sister, you have your mom to validate. If you want to say talk to your grandma, you have her to validate all of these things for you. Pretty amazing. So give that a shot and let me know how it goes for you guys. I would love to know. So with that being said, I will briefly type up tonight a kind of like a format and explain this more in detail. So, alright guys. Yes, so this is just your lesson, assignment 3. Simple. Very simple. Well, it can be. So yes. Alright guys. Wow. I've talked too much, so I love you all with all my heart. All the way from Venus, all the way back down. And I will see you guys tomorrow for, what is tomorrow? Saturday. Yes. I will see you all tomorrow. So hopefully this helps anybody. And hopefully this kind of helps with the whole transgender body and, you know, not being in the body you feel that you need to be in. I really wanted to touch on that yesterday too. And today, I just want people, you know, that are wondering why do I have the body that I don't want? While you were growing in the belly, certain circumstances influenced certain things. So research that though. Research that. So, alright guys. I love you all. And thank you for listening to me babble. So, I will see you guys tomorrow.